Hello, my name is Nelida Evans. I'm a translator and interpreter in Spanish, English into Spanish and vice versa. And I've been in the translation business for about 13 years and in the interpreting business for about 8 years. I got a NRPSI in law and in health. And I've been working with Bostico for about almost a year, I think. And it has been great. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that. You used to be an NRPSI interpreter, I know you've told me.
Yes, indeed.
And then you decided not to be on the NRPSI anymore. Could you tell me why?
I tell you why, because I did, the National Register calls you for the little jobs, for like the half an hour here or half an hour here, which I didn't mind doing. So I go to Bournemouth Court for a half an hour job, and I say, okay, that's great. And they say the trial is coming next week or in 2 weeks' time. And then when the trial comes, they said, we will call you back. And then when it was time for me to go there for the next time, they got another translator coming from all over London, Bristol or Newcastle or whatever it is. So in the end, it wasn't economically viable because you pay so much money to the National Register to be in the National Register, and when you put everything into your accounts, you realize that you are paying them too much money and you don't make enough profit.
Indeed. But you see, some of the customers think that NRPSI is the symbol of quality. Do you think that's true?
No, I think the system should go back to the courts. Because if I'm a local for Bournemouth Court will know that I'm local for Bournemouth. If you live in Bristol, Bristol Court will contact you because you're local to Bristol, and so on and so forth. And I think that should be the way forward.
And do you think that, agencies who use non-NRPSI registrants are actually not providing a good service?
No, I suppose where it should be checked if you got a NRPSI to working. I got a NRPSI in law and in health, and if someone says, can you do interpreting in court? I say, yes, I can. I might say, perhaps I obviously haven't got the registration with the National Register, but I got the ability and the skills to do it. And I think that's the important thing. If the person is NRPSI qualified, I think it should be, that's the main thing.
Since you've got so many years of experience, tell me a story about a challenging job you have had.
Challenging was one in Bristol Court, which was about 4 days, and it was incredibly interesting. And it was with a child, a custody of 2 children for the grandparents coming from Spain. And it was incredibly sad, because it was a sad case for the children. It was incredibly sad for the grandparents who had lost the daughter and the children. That's why they wanted custody of the children. And it was challenging because I felt it was incredibly sad for the children, very tense for the grandparents. And the judge at times didn't even realize that I was there, and I was trying to do simultaneous interpreting, and it was so fast and it was so challenging, but I managed to keep up. But I think after, every time she had a bit of a breather, I thought, oh, this is good. But except that, I managed. But I think sometimes judges or the lawyers and so on, they don't realize that you are there. And you say, oh, well, it's okay. But some, I must say, some in Bournemouth in particular, they're pretty good. They say, there is an interpreter here in this court, so please don't keep going and on and so forth. So they do realize that you are there to do a job. But in this case, it was a bit, it was difficult. Yeah.
And would you mind telling me something you love about your job?
I think I like to be the voice of the people, and it's nice to be the voice of someone else when they need someone to translate it. And I think if I was in their position where you need to be assisted, it's so important to be that someone is your voice at a professional level, translating everything you need to say, and translate it correctly.
Do you think you impersonate the person you interpret for and therefore adopt the style and the way of speech? Or do you think you should be impersonal and just translate as a robot and you're there just as a medium to communicate between one language into the other?
That's tricky. I think I don't impersonate, or I don't try. I just translate the way it is, and I prefer to be exact to the point. Not like a robot, but to be exact and say and translate everything that is said that needs to be translated.
Tell me something you hate about this job.
Waiting times in the court, and you see all the clerks coming and going, and you say this is going to be now, and it's not. But apart from that, that's okay.
Do you think waiting times are actually a waste of money, especially when it comes to courts, the budget money?
I think it could. I don't know. It's difficult. I know that in court, I suppose, depends on the cases, and the magistrates have a certain schedule. So I couldn't like to criticize that, because if I was a lawyer, perhaps I would be on the other side of the pond, and I would be telling you something different.
And one last thing, tell me something funny.
Something funny, a case in, I had to try to do interpreting in Dorchester prison. So I was there at 8:30, the solicitor, the lawyer says, be there at 8:30, and I said, great, okay. And this solicitor was a smoking man, and I said, so we're going to, says, we're going to have to do interpreting just in an area very close to the cells. And I said, yes, God bless, whatever, it's okay, fine with me. So we go into this mini cell, and it says all over the place, no smoking. And the solicitor takes it up, God, there's something going on. I gave up smoking when my daughter is now 17, so it must be 18 years ago. But in such confined space, smoking could be a bit of a pain. But never mind, I said, yeah, I'm here. And anyway, they bring this gentleman, this Spanish man, who had been arrested for smoking cigarettes, for smuggling cigarettes. And he was really shaken. He was so fearful. And so I said, oh, well, we know that you are here because of this smuggling, I don't know how. It was a massive amount of cigarettes in his lorry. So the solicitor takes, he says, oh, sorry, do you want one? And he says, no, I gave up.
Fair enough. Well, Nelly, on this tone, I think we're going to finish it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.